Good evening, Speed Gaming. Are you ready for this? It's the undefeated Crab Cakes against the last play-in contender standing Tyerenex. Crab Cakes, undefeated in the Swifts, undefeated in the brackets. Tyerenex got here via the play-in race to qualify for the brackets, and now faces the number one seed. I am Trenton, joined by Caleb. How are you tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, Trenton. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. I'm really excited about this race. I'm happy to be back in the booth, and I'm happy to be calling the round of four, the final four of the 2019 Spring Tournament.
We have Tyerenex ranked number 7 in SRL against Crab Cakes, currently ranked number 1. To get here, Tyerenex had to go 2-1 versus St. Bon Jester, 2-1 versus Edgeworth. No small feat in either case. Crab Cakes didn't have a free ride, had to go 2-0 versus Fizzlebeef to get into this match. Did get the first round bye. At stake, the winner of this matchup, not this race, but this matchup, faces Shadow Walker, who's just a mere 6-1 in bracket play so far. So no easy task ahead for either runner. To advance, Crab Cakes needs to win, already has the 1-0 advantage. To advance, Tyerenex has to get the win to force round 3. What are you thinking going into this one?
I think you have to anticipate, if you're Tyerenex, you have to anticipate what Crab Cakes is going to do, and then gamble that what she will do will leave the door open for you to try to do something that she wouldn't do. And it's about those runner instincts, which I've been discovering as my journey through the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament, is something that every runner has a little differently than the next one. People's instincts, it's fascinating to watch, Trent. It's like what pulls someone into an early marsh dive, what pulls someone into skipping volcano and going into ice. I think it's going to be one of those decisions, by these runners, that's going to be the difference in this game right now.
We are about to turn them loose. We will see them going in mere moments. What are we seeing different in these flags versus the previous brackets or previous Swiss round?
So we have, in this round, we have unsafe pirates, which means those pirates, they could have death touch. They could have thunder. They could have a whole mess of stuff that can throw up some major roadblocks when our runners find Provoca. We also have the Opal Bracelet incentivized, so that kicks another item loose, which brings our total up to, I believe, 3 loose in the pool. We also have moved the incentive location from Marsh to Marsh locked. And we've turned off the early sages, so those runners are going to have to down Lich in order to go to Crescent Lake and get that key item.
With a free canal, there's a lot of world open to the runners once they have a ship. It's usually one of our first progress items that we find. Not necessarily required, but it often is. So, by the way, if you're curious about the tale of the tape between these two runners, as best I can tell, it's a 4-2 lifetime advantage for CC versus Tyerenex. So, although CC on a late tear, Tyerenex does have a couple wins in their history.
This is going to be a good matchup. I can feel it, Trenton. I can feel it, and I'm excited.
We have seen that all throughout the brackets. There is no safe opponent. Nothing is free. In these brackets especially, you can't sleep on anyone. We've got Lit 2, Temper, Quake, Bane.
That's a really solid early black magic. On the white side, I saw a Heal 2, Soft, Heal, and Fog 2. So not the best, but that black magic will carry you through for a while.
Lit 2 is a good sweeper spell. It'll do a lot against early enemies, and if you have to do a lot of sailing on the ocean, you're quite happy to have a lit spell. We've got cabins for 110, not exactly cheap, but affordable to get one going into Temple of Fiends.
And they both hit that same 4-imp encounter right outside Canary.
Yeah, both of them took the White Mage, Black Mage. Tyerenex teased us with the double fighter formation, but changed his mind to bring the white magic.
And there's that early route divergence, or Tyerenex is simply doing the patented Will Cleosis early bridge boss.
Yeah, it's become a popular play because if you're going to take the steps anyways, you might as well get that out of the way instead of just walking back and forth. It's kind of that effort to keep all your steps meaningful.
Absolutely. And we see it's Tyerenex is dropping the cabin. He's going to be the. It looks like, he's burning off that encounter, and he walks into Temple of Fiends as CC is hitting those encounters in the woods outside of the Temple of Fiends.
It looks like not a bad first encounter walk, but the second walk, really good. So Tyerenex burned the one off. The trouble with that is once you're in a dungeon, that looks like it's going to be loaded on the back side of the encounter table. So you're going to see a lot of encounters, but a black shirt's going to help you clear through a lot of them. What'll that do for him?
That is a free cast of Ice 2, and when the if they find the tail and choose to promote, it'll be a great late game armor for that black wizard, as it provides basically the same defensive stats as the gold bracelet, as well as a few elemental resistance. And a flame shield's nice to find too, so that fighter gets early elemental resistance to fire.
Yeah, it's the best shield that a fighter is going to be able to equip. Class change you can do better, but for now, flame ice, best you can do.
So
well, that's a confusing direction to take based on what the seed's telling us.
Yeah, Adamant and Herb, at least it's pulling you to the left side of the map, so maybe Matoya and Provoka might not be checked right.
With the objective NPC shuffle on, the elf nurse is not necessarily there in the castle, so you may not have access to them right now.
That is very true. I did not mention the objective NPC shuffle. So the Elven Doctor or Nurse, the Bahamut, and the Dr. Oon NPCs will all be shuffled. They could be vanilla. They could be in any one of their friends' locations. We could find Bahamut in Melmond. We could find Bahamut in Elfland Castle. It's a lot of fun.
Couple of ogres. They're usually a very good early game enemy for experience and money. And if you want to knock a black belt out of your way because you think they're trash, they can also be handy for that. What kind of treasures does Matoya have? Just a tiny little pittance of money, so not very good there.
Question in chat from Max Plus Pi. What was level 1 white magic? We had heal 2, soft heal, and fog 2. So decent. Heal 2. I like heal 2. It's a good spell for the early game for sure. Especially with nothing competing with those spell slots. And we have Provoka is...
Elfland is big, and a flame sword from the dwarves also big. Invis 2, Cure 4 at level 3. That's going to help make the white mage a little valuable, but it's great for the knights. And Adamant turns into the loose.
That's a good pickup. It's definitely something that we're going to need, but not something we're going to need for a while.
Kind of a dud for the black magic, though.
Yeah, there was Zap at level 3. It's not bad. Lock 2. I mean, Tyerenex has his Black Mage named Lock 2. I don't know if he'll pick it up, but it's there for him.
Crabcake's about to get the Flame Sword. That's a very welcome sight. Your fighter gets something fairly decent to equip. You don't really want to take it to the end game, but it'll do quite well for a while. So as far as incentive goes, we don't have access to anything. We do have the Hooray Dwarf, because the Marsh incentive item is key locked, so we don't have access to that. The only town we have access to right now is Elfland, which is starting to seem like it's going to have to be Provoka for us to get progress.
Yep. Or we have something loose hidden in the Marsh cave.
That is a possibility. There'll be 3 loose of the incentive items. It is also possible that the elf nurse is actually in the castle and the herb turns into a progress. Or we could have vendor item in the Elfland town that in some fashion leads to progress. Could be TNT or crystal.
That is true. I don't think we saw CC check the item shop when she was in Elfland.
That is Melmond, so there is none.
But this gives us 2 elf doctor possibilities.
That is a very good point. CC is on that track. Finds the 9 pirates, which is usually the best encounter you're going to get in Melmond. This is Zozo Melmond, so any of these desert tiles, you have a chance for a random encounter. And that is the elf.
All right. And when she goes to drop off that check in on the Elven Prince, we'll find out where both of the other objective NPCs are. So that's a nice check, right? The seed is being generous.
And it's the TNT, so we're going to have to walk back to the dwarves. This is a lot of walking in this early game.
Yep, but we got some good information with that check. We find out that Bahamut is in the Elfland Castle, which means Dr. Un is in Bahamut's cave, which means the slab turn-in, and whatever the Lefinians are holding on to is locked behind the airship.
It is a strong piece of information. So it seems pretty likely that our progress here is either going to be a canoe or a ship. Of course, it is possible to continue the fetch quest. I mean, you could find the Mystic Key here, and then it's a Marsh dive on the table.
Mystic Key wouldn't be bad because that gives you a lot of chests to check too.
Saber's at level 5, so is Fast. That should give us a decent stock of fast charges for the end game. Worth mentioning that on CC's side, we see the different colored ogres. That's part of the fun percent flags in the randomizer. You can see them all at FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. This one's called Palette Swap, which will give enemies the color scheme of other enemies.
Alright, something is, looks like it's been messing up Tyrenex's party. I don't know if the decision to have the white mage is intentional.
There was a stun touch from the ogres, and there's no revives. Oh, hey, stone from, is that the wolves? Looks like it's the wolves with stone touch. That makes a few areas challenging. And now you're really hoping this isn't a forced marsh.
Yikes. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of wolves in this early game, and that's not a status effect you want to see.
Tyerenex finds that Bahamut is in there. Apparently did not check the Dr. Un location here first. Now we'll see that herb is the progress. More wolves. This starts to be a very scary encounter. But with plenty of save items, you're able to avoid overworld encounters by resetting back and skipping that. So you save, you reset, you start over at the encounter table, and you move on. It is the key!
There we go. So looks like Marsh is on the table.
Very likely required now for the progress. And the question becomes, how much do you go around walking to check for treasure? Get a white shirt from the Dwarven Treasury.
That white shirt's a nice find this early in the game. I would go just right to Marsh and then hope that the incentive location there is the floater or something like that. Floater or one of the boats. and because you can check the Canaria Locked and the Elfland Castle Armory really quickly with the airship, but on foot it's a much longer walk.
Well, the airship's not doing enough for you right now unless you find the loose ship or canoe, because you wouldn't be able to get there.
Yep.
Cece is doing some walking around to see about these treasures. You've got 6 of them here at Canaria Castle. If you're feeling bold, you've got 3 of them up at the Temple of Fiends, and then another set that is at Elfland Castle. All those possible before you go into Marsh.
I missed where she saved, but if there's nothing here, she might just be able to reset back and be right at the door.
Might take that heel helmet out.
Yeah, there was a decent amount of gold in there too.
May sell the heel helmet for money, but right now that is the best knight helmet we've found. So this is interesting because the seed's really telling you right now that progress is in Marsh Cave. The trouble is that it's Marsh Cave. Level 5's not atrociously bad for going into Marsh Cave, but it doesn't feel great either. And the black magic's just not very good. We've got Lit 2, and we've got the black shirt for Ice 2. The other option you have is to dip into Northwest Castle and possibly get some levels against the undead there.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great idea. You get to check out, see if those trap, because I think it's like images or wraiths, and there's a mummy trap tile in there, so you can get some early information there too while you're getting a little bit higher experience enemy fights to get some level.
Tyerenex is also taking the key north. Is Cece gonna make the Temple of Fiends play? No.
They're just gonna high five right by the Dwarven dock.
Offers a chance for some route divergence, though, if Tyerenex makes that play. He is going to make that play. He's going to go there before Canaria.
This could be huge. These could be 3 chests that Crabcakes never checks. And if there's something like the Masa or Dragon Armor or something really crucial to the end game, this could be a huge advantage for Tyerenex right here.
Gargoyles with Trance, that is a bad piece of information, because they're gonna be in the Marsh Cave.
And it's Earth Cave isn't looking too friendly right now either. With Trance Goyles and the
Stone Touch Wolves.
Oh! Stone Poison from the Gargoyles, no less.
Oh, did that follow up Trance?
It sure did. So, invest in soft potions.
Yeah, I've said before, I like to bring at least 2 in my inventory in the early game as quick as I can get them. You might need more than that. This could be a very rough Marsh Cave.
And CC's skipping top Marsh and going right to the bottom.
Fire 2 from the Scums. This is one where I think a higher level, if you were willing to do it, would really pay off. But once you're here, you're kind of committed until it just kills you that much.
Yeah, this rough early game could result in a pretty decent end game, though, if we start seeing a lot of the nasty stuff early on, unless it's on like the Medusa script at Stun Touch or something. But I've found a lot of times when I'm watching these races, when there's a really challenging early game, that the end-game Topher stuff isn't as scary. And the opposite of...
Keep on ambushing and keep on getting Trance off.
Yeah, that feels really bad.
Yeah, Tyerenex is going to nope out of those chests. That's really no surprise.
That's about a 2-minute time loss there for the Temple of Fiends check. But Crabcakes is now getting the information about the Trance Goyles.
It was a play you had to make, and you had to try for a little RNG. You don't want to invest too much time in that, but once you're there, you got to give it a couple attempts because it's so quick to get back there. There's our ship.
All right, she skipped a lot of chests on the bottom marsh here and all of top marsh. So if there's something loose down here in the marsh cave, that could be a potential major time loss with those chests being orphaned. Because the ship's going to put a lot of stuff on the table for her to check.
I feel like this is a borderline double dip required marsh if there's a loose item here, because you got to get out of here as fast as you can. This could be death right here for CC. Trant's got the party down. Here comes the stones. And that's a wipe just that fast. So not a lot you can do about that.
No. So Trenton, if you're diving this marsh cave, you have the information on the wolves, you have the information on the gargoyles. How do you adjust here?
In my playstyle, and I am a very cautious player who's worrying mostly about finishing the seed first instead of my time, I go for levels. So I'd be back up, like I mentioned, the mummies at Northwest Castle. That'd be a place where I'd be trying to get level 6, 7, 8 kind of range. And it's not necessarily that durability will do a lot for you here, but you can get a little bit better stats, a little bit better levels, and hopefully a little bit better initiative against these enemies, and might get you away from a couple extra. That's really all you need. You only need like 2 or 3 runs to survive.
And we see her checking chest, well, at least that top right chest that she didn't check on the way down. So she's getting some information on the way down.
The biggest problem I have with doing this marsh cave at low levels, when I say I'm an overly cautious person, it's not even the trance poison. That's killing you. It just is. If they ambush you, you're dead. There's nothing you can do about it. I want to be able to survive these wizards. I want to be able to survive those fire twos. That's what I'm worried about, is can I take some of the edge off this place? Flame Armor and Pro Cape, that's some really good stuff that was here at the Canaria Treasury we didn't highlight earlier. Also, the Katana is very good lunch money once you sell it.
Yep, I don't think CC checked the Elfland Armory, so Tyerenex finds a nice little boon of treasures hidden there in Elfland Cast.
Crabcakes has to do this now without the Black Mage, so the best running party member is down. Is CC going to be able to escape the Marsh Cave on this? I think this is attempt number 3. Tyerenex hasn't gotten there yet, finding that stone touch in the overworld. Oh, we had Squint show up too. There's a lot of nastiness in this marsh cave.
Yeah, I think once she gets off this bottom floor, the majority of I think the trouble will be behind this bottom floor.
Good news is these gargoyles have not been common. As gargoyles show up, but they've not been common.
And they have pretty good evade there, missing the attack from Hans.
Avoided stone the first time, couldn't avoid the second time.
And she's going back down. I think this is this is 4th time down, according to what you were counting.
Yeah, I think that's right. It might possibly be the 5th, but it hasn't been a ton of times. It feels like a lot when you're doing this. This has only been a couple of minutes, but it feels like an hour right now.
Yep, and Tyerenex is going topside, and Crabcakes, I like that little adjustment she made, switching the fighter and the black belt. So keeping the black belt alive is just one more person who could potentially run from some of these encounters. I like that move a lot.
That's really what it boils down to. It's one more person with a chance to run away. One more person who has a chance to not get tranced. Is anything going to pay off for Tyerenex here? Because I see no way Crab Cakes is going this direction. Reobtains the ship. Can you get out with it now? I love it that Tyerenex didn't take the extra step because of the bat, just waited on it. A pittance of gold, not good enough for Tyerenex.
That palette swap's messed me up. I was like, oh no, she found the Stone Touch wolves, but those are werewolves on CC screen.
A much more welcome sight in this seat. Okay, back up a floor. Zombies and ghouls. This is about the best encounter we've seen in this marsh cave. Gums have the fire too. This is where Marsh Cave can really get you at the low levels. You get something like that, which is not objectively strong, it's just relatively strong. You're so low level, your magic defense is that low, and that stuff just gets you. Tyerenex is checking these loose chests, which is a little surprising to me having seen the gargoyles, but Tyerenex is a higher level, and also has not seen the fire 2 from the scums, I don't think.
And she's out and drops the cabin. So Crab Cakes has her ship, and the world opens up a little bit more for her.
That is a big move. Now the only question is there something loose that Tyerenex is going to find that Crab Cakes did not? Nothing has paid off so far. Crab Cakes is able to sail the high seas now. That gives you access to 3 more towns. You can't really get into any dungeons right now. You can go into the early floors of Earth Cave, but without the rod, you can't complete it.
You think this will be a double dip on Earth?
I'm thinking we're going to find Provoca in one of the 3 towns we have access to. Provoca Canoe would be my guess. Oh, it's the defense sword!
That's a huge
defense
find.
sword sitting here in Marsh.
That's huge. That with the white shirt, you have basically free max evade, and the Temple of Fiends are visited in 2 rounds right there for one of your characters.
But can Tyerenex get out of here with it? The trance gargoyles are the first encounter after finding the defense sword. Stun locked. Plenty of poison attempts, and Tyerenex is wiped.
But he has the information on where that defense sword is, so I think he'll still pick that up. He won't check all the other chests, though.
That's the biggest thing. He covered a lot of ground with that. The other big thing is he knows where that is. He could come back to it in a late game situation when he wants it. Crab Cakes is never finding that.
Right. Crab Cakes is going to give us our first look at Melmond.
That is Gaia. We do not have the Oxyale to access the Sea Shrine yet. I'm sorry, I said Gaia. That's Onrak.
And it looks like she's going to go probably south and then to the left and check the Crescent Lake location.
Yeah, you have access to that and to the Onrak entrance. The bad thing about the Onrak entrance is not having the canoe, or else that basically puts 4 checks available to you because you've also got the Oasis vendor item.
Did she check the item shop in Onrak?
Yes. There wasn't anything special. Worth noting that CC walked around those dock tiles. Those dock tiles are encounter free. You will not get an encounter there, and you will not advance your step count towards the next encounter while you're on those.
Yep. So there we could still see something like a vendor item here in the Crescent Lake location, and that could, fetch quest, especially if it's like the bottle which leads to Gaia in the on-rack location, to I don't know, like the crystal or the crown, and still just kind of spinning wheels looking for that next big progression item.
Tyerenex has the information on the ship, but again, the gargoyles deny. Those gargoyles are bringing the defense today. And here is Provoca. So we've got the level 2 magic, we've got another item shop to check, and we have the pirates.
Yeah, this is like the perfect time to find... Wow. That nuke, ice 3, lit 3, and fire 2?
Yeah, there's nuke and a bunch of waste of space.
And we get wall and harm 2 available. Wall's nice in case our runners don't find ribbons. Wall at level 2 with a knight and a white mage. Those are good safety strats for the Temple of Fiends bosses.
Crabcake's using the black shirt here. Pirates are so weak, they're the lowest HP base enemy, so any AoE is going to kill them, assuming it does damage. And there is the canoe, so now we have access to everything except for 2 towns. Tents are available, nice and cheap. Gold bracelets, not so cheap.
Yeah, not so much. 40k, maybe you'll buy one in the late game if you don't find something. If you don't find, well, no, you got the white and the black shirt available, so yeah, no gold bracelets will be bought this seed.
Oh my, this undead pack with the crawl has stun touch, and it caused Tyerenex to go down again. And the crawl has squint, so you have to fear that while you're in there too.
So you're about 28 minutes in, and you're still struggling against Marsh Cave. What do you think is going through Tyerenex's head right now, Trenton?
This is a case where he's thinking, I just gotta get the RNG. Can I change the encounters any? Is there a way I can do this to get rid of the gargoyle? The trouble is, they're really a back half encounter. If they were this encounter that Tyerenex is in right now, all he'd have to do is take one more encounter on the previous floor, and then he wouldn't see that group there. But because he's got to go through a couple encounters to get to it, it's a lot harder to try and manipulate out.
CC's checking the caravan for the vendor item. Doesn't find it. Found all the potions and cabins and tents.
It's a strong play because there aren't that many places left for the vendor item to be. One of our 3 missing towns is Lefane. So that basically was a 1 in 3 chance of being your vendor item.
Yep, so it's either here in Crescent or... And there it is. 9,300 for a crystal. Which kind of feels bad, because now you got to sail all the way back up into the inner sea to deliver that to Matoy.
Tyerenex was able to pick up the defense sword on this dive. Now re-picks up the ship. And again, the worry here is this next encounter should be gargoyles. If he's on the same cycle. He's not, but this is not a good one either. This is a case where I know my reaction to this. Tyerenex has the levels already. He picked up exactly the levels I said I would target. I'd be trying to get through these by using the black shirt from the fighter and running with the black mage every time. And whatever gets me out of that fight, I'm happy. Here's the gargoyles.
And he goes full offense.
I think you have to, because you really just can't afford the run failures now. And that did it. So he's through that encounter of the gargoyles. Can he get out of here? And there's Squint. This is the trouble with run strats, especially on a limited party, is if it fails, it can cost you so much. As Mudcall's fired off Blizzard and Lit 2, This
So-
is not a friendly waterfall.
The crawls having squint and glance and stun touch is going to make this walkout with just one player not ideal. And you just hope that that's not on an enemy script that we're going to see a lot in this game.
Yeah. When it's down to one person, I just don't feel confident in runaway strats as CC takes a wipe to the mummy tile. You got to spam killing. If you're in a group, use that black shirt. If you're against just a 1 and 2 target, go ahead, use that flame sword. But you really can't afford to fail runaways. There you go.
Yeah, it looks like he's picking his battles, like running when he can, offense when he knows it's, like you said, you can't risk the run.
Yeah, the undead is kind of a tough in-between enemy because Ice 2 is not that great for them. I'd still spam the black shirt and hope they're low enough HP. Because, I mean, when you're talking about 6 enemies having a chance to do crit damage against you, look how much just these 2 have punished Tyerenex. It's just that rough, and that's what these early games can do to you, especially a rough Marsh cave.
CC's having some struggles in the waterfall cave here. Looks like
made it happen though.
All right, now he's gonna go get his boat, and I would imagine res up those Deadlight Warriors and be following in CC shoes.
Yeah, probably a very similar path because at this point you know that's what you need. You've got to either find the vendor item or provoke it. And it's the tail, not required. A lot of trouble in this waterfall for a non-required item.
But at least you can promote. We know where Bahamut is. I mean, bright side, Opal Armor's a nice find.
Actually, the armor is a really compelling argument right now to class change. You usually think about that in terms of weapons, but you've got white shirt for the white mage, black shirt for the black mage, and now Opal Armor for the fighter.
Yep, and you can equip those. You can equip one of those heal helmets too.
That's true as well. It's a little bit better than the silver helmet because it's the same absorb, but adds heal too.
She's just got to get out of here. It's the theme of this seed. You just got to get out of here.
Well, and the tough thing could be is if you take a wipe, I don't think you go back in.
True. And we find the Sahags with Scorch, which isn't bad on their own, but when you're just a single player and you have a pack of 6 of them or so, and they ambush you, that could be pretty bad.
Melmond was back at Elfland, so Tyerenex didn't have the ability to res his party there. Had to come back to Canaria, and Tyerenex has gone all in on 2-man strats. That's what we just learned.
All right. Well, he hasn't found level Provoka yet, so we know that Provoka is not hiding like a level 2 Fade. It is, in fact, a level 2 Nuke. So that'll actually kind of play into his strategy here a little.
Or even a life spell would maybe make a compelling argument for the white mage, but really in the first 5 levels of Magic, we don't have a lot of reason for the white mage other than Cure 4. He's gonna go back for the gargoyles.
Revenge.
Oh my, this is a gamble. This is a very big gamble.
So in Crescent Lake, we found Fade and Exit. And Warp.
Oh, wow!
Oh, no.
That is the cube. It is absolutely required. Tyerenex has it now, and there is no telling how long it's going to take CC to get there.
That's what I was talking about. That's one of those instinct plays where it's not something you necessarily checked every time, but it's like, hey, I'm feeling that Temple of Fiends key lock. That's important to check, and it pays off. And if you're Tyerenex, I have to imagine that you feel like CC's probably not going to hasn't made that check. So you kind of have to feel like you have a little bit of an advantage.
Having been in a similar position, yes, you're going to feel like it's an advantage because that's a late check. The thing, though, that you don't know yet is how soon that cube is required. Because let's just say the Oxyale is behind the cube in some fashion. Then CC is going to be forced into finding that. So yes, it feels good. Your gamble paid off. That's what you were trying to do. The art of any good gamble in randomizer play is that it gives you a chance. It's not that it's a high percentage play or it would be a gamble, but it's that if it pays off, it's something that can really pay off. Tyerenex has seen that, but what's the rest of this seed going to say?
Absolutely. And if there's nothing in Sky, then that is a huge benefit for Tyerenex because that means he'll find the other two loose items much quicker than CC and be in go mode well before she is.
I'll slightly diverge. The ideal scenario for Tyerenex is going to be that the Oxyale's available and there's nothing in Sea Shrine. So CC gets forced into a full clear of Sea Shrine while Tyerenex is able to go mode it.
Yeah. But this, I mean, it's still anyone's game, so who knows? Temple of Fiends could be a roadblock that all this early game time saving stuff might not pan out.
Right now, we also know we have access to the early floors of Earth Cave. CC's in one of the dungeons we have access to in Castle Ordeals. The other incentive location is the Ice Cave, and we further have full access to the volcano right now. Those are the things we've not seen as of yet. Waterfall yielded the tail, so it's not required. Tyerenex should soon have a canoe.
And he gets the information that his white mage can probably stay dead with the wall spell, and Harm 2 being the only spells really of note there other than this single target invis.
Crabcakes is now up to level 9, which is kind of interesting because they're very similar levels right now. I think Tyerenex is level 10 or 11 with that fighter having had to walk out of Marsh Cave with just the one. Crabcakes has navigated the pillar. Soon we'll find out the incentive item here.
Favorite sword in the game, Crabcakes finds the Bane sword.
The game clencher, it'll cast Bane spell for free. It's quite effective against a number of enemies. Mancats say, you didn't think you were getting out of here without seeing us, did you? Oh, Quadex comes out!
Oh no.
Expert, too! This is not nice! Fire! How often is the fire spell going to kill you? But because of that expert, it got full damage.
Mancats. Oh man, why did it have to be Mancats?
Oh, we've got status poisons on the Medusa script. We just saw it from Peds. Tyerenex just got his Black Mage turned to stone by the Peds. So that means there's another bullet out there to dodge somewhere. Not to mention, it means one of the best experienced enemies is not friendly today.
That is a bad feeling. I've run seeds and found death touch on Peds, and just my heart weeps a little.
Chat making a good point. Where's the ribbons? We've not found any yet, but boy, we want them. So again, what's at stake here? Crab cakes. Advantage for game win in this series. Best of 3. So if Crab Cakes wins, advances to face Shadow Walker. Tyerenex needs to win to force game 3.
And Tyerenex is route diverging from what CC did. He's going to go into the volcano. Very chest-dense location. It's a bold strategy after finding the...
Yeah, after the peds. It's the loose chime!
Oh boy.
Wow! Chat said, wow, what else can you say to that? Now, that is not in a location that CC is going to miss it. The question, though, is how bold do you feel about go mode? Because not every item on the board is required. The bottle is what we get from Castle Ordeals. Chad asks, which chest was it in? It was in the second one here in Volcano, the one you could just see on the south of Tyerenex's screen. So that's not one that CC is going to miss. That's not nearly as big as the Temple of Fiends chest. But what's big about it is Tyerenex has already found 2 of the loose key items. Crab Cakes has not found either one. Chat says, go Sky, go right now. I really wouldn't recommend that without the chime. Oh, never mind, that is the chime. Okay. Alright. Never mind. Crab Cakes does get the class change. Sky would be a very interesting play. You got a lot of treasure available. You've got a lot of chance to level up. And right now, I'm not crazy about our chances to kill Carrie yet. But that could change while we're here. Bracket level 5. Didn't see that earlier, but something you very much like to have available when fighting Tiamat and Kraken. So what kind of things is Tyerenex hoping to find now? Well, you've got ribbons as a potential possibility. We've got Dragon Armor, Aegis Shield, Boss Immune, Vorpal. Defense Sword, you're okay for the end game. It's just not going to be your first choice. That's a good point. We don't have the floater yet. And considering that we know Dr. Un and Lefane are floater locked, it could be potentially not required and be the incentive ribbon. This could actually be, for the first time in the tournament, a non-airship required seed. Because we do know where Sea Shrine is. We're able to get to Mirage via boat. Chad asks, can we have 2 loose items in the same dungeon? I strongly recommend you watch the video of these 2 runners in the first game, where all 3 loose items were in the Earth Cave. That was certainly a thing. Tyerenex is out of Volcano. Definitely gained some levels, definitely gained some treasure. Nothing really that major outside the cube. Has not been to the north side of the world yet, so not able to get up to Ordeals, to Waterfall. to the on-rack town.
And Crab Cakes is going to do the crystal check.
Solid play, hit the incentive locations as quickly as you can. That's the incentive ribbon. So the odds of floater being required just improved, because now the only non-required thing would be the ruby or opal bracelet. The way this seed has gone, though, I don't think you're upset about finding a ribbon.
But Ribbon doesn't care about Stone Touch.
Well, Stone Touch, there's not a whole lot you could do.
No.
One of my earliest broadcasts was during the first tournament. We had a runner go into the 30s with a black belt grind. Gets to the carry floor. Red Giants, Stone Touch. Wiped out all his progress.
Oh. That's a terrible feeling.
It certainly is. You went's just seeing it. So where does CC go next after picking up some spells?
I would imagine she's going to dive into the ice cave.
Tyerenex has come back to the volcano. Interesting move. This has got to be a planned kill of carry. I'm not sure how I feel about this instead of hitting the incentive location at Ice Cave and find out if that's the floater. But when you don't have to check the armory floor, you make a lot of progress through this volcano walking across those lava tiles.
Yeah, the getting to the Agama floor can just be a matter of like a minute or two. And it looks like CC is going to go the long way around to the ice gate.
I really like that play out of CC at this point. You've now seen not a lot come out of these incentive item checks yet. I say that meaning that you found the ribbon and you found... I'm trying to think of what the other thing was. But finding the ribbon and knowing that that was a non-required item, you are really hoping to find something at the end of location.
Yeah, she found the tail on Waterfall.
That's right. So 2 not required items. So right now, there's a slim possibility this is a non-airship required seed if the ruby is the Lefane item.
Well, we know that Gaia is airship lock 2, and we don't know what the bottle turns into. So if the bottle's like the Opal Gauntlet and the Lefanians have the ruby, yeah.
Oh, you just could... Yeah, Opal Gauntlet is out there too. So Ruby, Opal Gauntlet, there is still a chance of a non-airship seed, but it's not really likely because of bottle. It's one thing when you only have to have one item go that way, but it just really limits our options. Showing the Agama a copper bracelet, the Agama doesn't really seem very impressed. Only hitting for 2 damage, though, so it's not a threatening encounter.
Not at all. Do you think he does a little bit of an Agama grind here?
I don't think so. I think that was to test the Agamas to see if they were easy to kill. Well, still able to one-round them, so they're not that bad. 16 might not be a bad target here. I don't think you want to invest more time than that. When it's only 2 party members, well, if you can't one-round them, I really don't like it. Sunsword, though, just changed the situation a little bit.
Yep, that's the best sword apart from the Masa that the fighter can equip.
And now you might see if you can one-round these. The other alternative, if you really are trying to get levels, you can go check out what the red dragon is like. So this is also a good time to say our thanks to our fine tracker, Woat, taking care of business behind the scenes. We've had so many great volunteers. I think we've had more different volunteers to do tracking for this tournament than anything else we've ever done. So I just want to take a moment from the organization side and thank all of you who have donated some time for that.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Wout. I appreciate you doing the tracking, and everyone else that's been doing the tracking. I know Danny383's done a lot of it. Moist Mogwai's done her fair share. We've seen Wout in the tracking booth a lot, along with a lot of the newer faces like myself. It's been really cool.
It's been great to have so many new people come in here. This was your first event with us. So how about the experience? What'd you think?
It's a blast, man. I'm really excited about all the upcoming events. The co-op tournament we got kicking off later this week, and we got the summer tournament coming up, the OnRack summer vacation. There's a lot of cool things to get involved in. It's not too late for people out there watching this on Speed Gaming, watching this later on YouTube. It's not too late to sign up for some of these events, and I would highly encourage anybody watching to do so. It's been a blast being part of this community.
About to get some different checks. CC finds the Excalibur, which is going to be an instant help. That's in the Frost Dragon guarded chest. And I don't think we've seen the Red Dragon chest. Well, I didn't see the Red Dragon chest anyways.
I missed it too. I was looking at the Hooray Dwarfs in chat. I got distracted.
Well, that is a very distracting thing. Heal potion, says chat. Thank you, chat.
The all-important heal potion.
Tyerenex, about to do battle with Carrie, has definitely gained some levels, and this is a bit safer now.
Yeah, Carrie can be scary. Ha! I didn't mean to do that. In the vanilla game, she has like 600 health, and but in this, she can have anywhere from what? I'm not going to do math live on Twitch. She can have more than or less than 600 health.
Yeah, it's up to 220% on bosses. Here comes Thunder. Tyerenex has no ribbons. And not a lot of resistance from that Gary, but Tyerenex wisely going to heal after that, because you can get another encounter before you get out of here.
And CC continues her full clear of the ice cave. Tyerenex lights his first orb at the 54-minute mark. And Ice Cave hasn't really proven to have anything real of value other than that X-Cal.
No, it's good to have, but you wouldn't dive a dungeon if you knew all that was in it was X-Cal. But we still have to see the incentive. And it's either going to be required or really important information.
Yeah, if it's not a required item, it could force her to double think or what she's missing. Because right now, Tyerenex can go in full clear sky, and CC doesn't have access to that information yet, or that dungeon. So if there's nothing that points her to like a rod or the Oxyale, I can see her maybe potentially going back and checking chests or diving that first few floors of Earth. Maybe she full clears Volcano as well, and Tyerenex kind of widens his lead a little bit.
We do know CC is going to have to get to Volcano to find the cube.
The Chime was in the Volcano Armory. Cube loose in Temple of Fiends.
And that's the slab. So that can't lead to the floater.
Nope, because
we
can't
haven't
even
seen a thing.
And we can't even talk to Dr. Un yet.
So it's really looking like it's Mirage now.
Yep.
That's good news, bad news for Tyerenex.
Yeah.
Just trying to think through the scenario here. So CC will find the chime and be pushed in that direction, thinking double dip Mirage. Whereas Tyerenex will be able to full clear when going there. So otherwise, if CC goes around checking all the key locked, that would be bad for Tyerenex.
Yeah, if Rod is in Sky Palace, that could be very bad for CC. And I think Tyerenex just misstepped off the tile there and fell through the wrong hole.
Yeah, that's only giving up one treasure chest, so you're probably not going to lose any sleep over it. You're just going to go and hope it doesn't bite you.
Yeah. I just like to see these veteran runners make the same mistakes that I make. Feels good.
That is certainly a thing. The other thing you can do to kind of help yourself get a little bit better at that is if you hold the B button, instead of doing dash like it used to do, it now does the inverse. It slows you down to normal walking pace. So when you're in that room especially, it can be worthwhile to slow yourself to a walking space when you're going through that particular path. Something I had to learn to do fairly recently. Chat saying CC's not going to TOF for a long time. Well, when you think about it, there aren't that many options left. There's the rest of Marsh Cave, which CC isn't going to want to go do. There's First 3 of Earth, which CC isn't going to want to do without the rod. Getting the chime here will open up the first 2 of Mirage, which is probably going to look like the best play. And CC doesn't have any other options right now.
Yeah, and Temple of Fiends is a quick check, but she did skip the chime chest there, so...
This is going to be a case where CC will finish Volcano and then come back to these.
Yeah.
We've seen that play. There's runners who much prefer that routing, and then they've avoided a bunch of steps if they happen to find their item somewhere else. Tyerenex has actually a lot of options after finding out what's in this Eyes chest, because we're focused on Mirage, knowing that that seems to be the answer right now. However, Tyerenex has not been to Waterfall, not been to Ordeals.
Yeah, for all he knows, CC could have checked those and had been airborne for half an hour now. But CC's going to get her chime right here. So, possibilities. We have one loose item remaining, and we still need to turn in the bottle, which we know is airship locked. We need the rod to get the Crescent Lake Old Men item. So, if they're holding onto the floater, that means the rod would be loose, or maybe there's Ruby locked and it's a Sarda special kind of thing, and Sarda's holding on to the floater. I'm trying to think of all the different options we have here.
Right now, we know the Sage's item is gated behind the rod. We know Sarda is gated behind either the floater or a Ruby. We know Bottle is gated behind the floater, and we know Lefane is gated behind the floater. So the scenario suggests we've got a fetch quest, and that is what we're going to find in Sky, and then that fetch quest leads us to the floater.
Yep, we're still looking for the crown. And I think that's it. I think it's just the crown. as far as the fetch quest items go.
Ruby would be fetch quest because it leads to Sarda.
Right. I don't ever put the Ruby in the same boat as the fetch quest, but yeah, absolutely correct.
Yeah, just everybody has their own language for this. There's a lot we share in common, but sometimes we just have different language for things, and so it's worth getting on the same page.
Yep, I agree. So if it's Ruby or Rod in the Sky Palace, I think that's an advantage for Cece. Not in a huge way, but it'll definitely keep her from running around the world a little bit longer.
You know, I'm trying to figure out exactly what the best path is here, because what we know on Tyerenex's side is it's possible to be in Sky Castle as well. So is it better that Crabcakes has to go to Mirage twice, or is it better that Crabcakes finds the item and thinks, okay, I'll be fine till later? I just don't know right now.
Because in my mind, I think that it has to make the Oxyale also behind one of those airship locked locations, because there's I don't think Oxyale can be loose to make her like full clear sea looking for one of those loose items now. Because so much is behind the airship.
Unless it was a cabin seed. No, it couldn't be. You try and put this puzzle together, and this is how many options we're seeing with as much information as we have. Just think about what it looks like on Crabcake's side with two of the 3 loose items still out there. Tyerenex still hasn't seen vendor item or waterfall. Tyerenex went into this seed taking the gambles to try and get an advantage on Crabcakes. The one thing I wonder is if in retrospect you shouldn't have gone to Mirage as soon as you had Chime and Cube and just given yourself a chance for that gamble to really pay off. You kind of found the items and then went through a more traditional routing saying, okay, I got my gamble, I found my items, and now let's just hope I find that third one along the more standard path. But now, with the canoe, Tyerenex has access to the Oasis, the on-rack entrance, and Castle Ordeals. Which play do you make first?
It looks like he's headed to Ordeals first, which I like because it's typically a quick check, and then you just sail across this northern sea through the Cardia Islands to the waterfall and on-rack, and then maybe from there, I guess he could go around the peninsula to Sky if he so chooses.
Gotta make the play to Ordeals first. I don't disagree with any of these because these are so quick to get to in all these cases.
Tyerenex kills the ever-elusive Soria, one of the better XP encounters in the game.
Alright, so let's take a look at what we have seen so far. As far as our shuffled NPCs, the elf nurse was hanging out in Dr. Un's location. Dr. Un is going to be hanging out in Bahamut's cave, while Bahamut is in the elf castle. At the start of the game, we got the adamant from the king. The bottle was the Ordeals incentive item. Chime is loose in Volcano's second floor. Both our runners have that now. We got the canoe from Vicky the pirate. Both our runners have that. Crystal is the vendor item for 9k. That has already been picked up by CC. Tyerenex has not been there as of yet. Cube is loose in Locked Temple of Fiends. Tyerenex found that on the gamble early. Crabcakes, not been there yet. Herb came to us from the princess. The key was from Narek. The loot was from the blacksmith. We got the ship from the Marsh incentive. The slab was the ice cave incentive. In Waterfall, the robot gives us the tail, and we got the TNT after waking up the prince.
Awesome. And Crabcakes lit her first orb at hour 6, which is just about 12 minutes after Tyerenex, but Tyerenex is now doing dungeons that CC has already cleared, so the advantage that Tyerenex has isn't as great as we probably maybe 5-10 minutes, but if I don't even maybe 5 to 6 minutes, I think, and it's just going to come down to I think how long she spends looking for her progression.
Yeah, I can't even think of this in terms of an advantage right now. It's just there's so many variables. How does the routing pay off? Until Tyerenex actually has that third item in his inventory, that's really not an advantage. CC actually has hit these incentive locations, so right now, CC still needs those loose incentive items. Tyerenex still needs them from these incentive locations. What is working to Tyerenex's advantage, though, is these two-man strats have him at a higher level than CC did any of this stuff, so should be able to get through it that much faster.
All right, where's CC going? Looks like probably Earth Cave, I would imagine.
Gosh, that would just be a rough play. Or no, is CC's in the area? Is CC going to make the choice that it's so close? Wow. Is it just a shopping trip? Does CC make the walk? This could be the move of the game right here. And it's going to be a torturous wait for us to find out.
She does walk north in Canary Town.
So again, we have the sages here at Crescent Lake, but we can't actually get the item from them yet. That requires defeating Lich.
And she was sailing away, came back, and walked north.
And this is what puts Crabcakes firmly at the advantage now. Everything just flipped because of this.
Huge gut. Like, that's one of those instinct plays I was talking about. Like, how often do you see Temple of Fiends locked required key item? And the gamble here isn't that much time, but wow.
And with a ribbon and much higher levels, these gargoyles, well, they can still be gargoyles. But with the save right there, that CC should be able to get this. It's just a question of time. Once you're here, you're committed.
And the Ochos on Tyerenex's side, looks like they have stun touch as well.
Well, that just happens sometimes. So, now there is worth noting that Tyerenex has taken one other gamble, and it's really hard to see it until the end game. But this two-man strat puts you at a much higher level for the end game. Like, Tyerenex should be going into Temple of Fiends Revisited probably level 28 to 30. Rough estimate. It's going to depend a little bit on how much exploring we have to do of Mirage Sky, but it's entirely possible Tyerenex goes in at level 32 plus.
Even at these levels, this is now the third attempt in Temple of Fiends, but now she has the information that the cube is here. It's just and she doesn't have to check that right chest, so
Yeah, you'll only
She-
have to do this fight once, which is quite a bit better. I like that adjustment using nuke first turn. It's just not worth it. Anything that gets you out of that fight is better.
Yep. Get out of my way, gargoyles. I'm coming through.
Question in chat, gargoyles bad? Yes, they have trance followed by stone poison, so they're pretty bad. They cost our runners a bunch of time early in Marsh Cave. And Tyerenex struggled through them right at that spot in the early game. It paid off to find the cube, but unfortunately Tyerenex was not able to make that advantage count before Cece was able to get to the cube.
And Tyerenex is on that mummy trap tile, resets out, and try to use the Bane sword on the mummies. That's not going to go too well for him.
At this point, what I think Tyerenex is going to need is a very, very rough Temple of Fiends Revisited. But there's still a lot of game to play.
So with that cube find for Cece at an hour 10 roughly, how do you feel her? Do you feel ahead? Do you feel like, oh, I'm glad I checked this? Do you think that this is something that Tyerenex wouldn't have checked? I like to try to get in the headspace of these runners and try to figure out what they're thinking. So what do you think they're thinking, Trent?
I don't know CC's thought process well enough to try and predict. What I do know is I'm not feeling great with how many deaths there have been. There was a lot of deaths in Waterfall, there was a lot of deaths at Marsh Cave, and if my opponent got better RNG, that's just not going to feel good. And if my opponent happened to make that gamble and get that item, then they could potentially already be through Mirage and Sky in go mode. Gotta go back for that opal armor. I don't like dropping the pro cape though.
Alright, looks like Cece is heading over to the Mirage Tower. She's gonna probably full clear that until she finds her third loose. And we'll get our first look at the Bridge of Destiny. You think there's gonna be a War Mech this seed, Trent?
It just feels like the kind of seed where you'd expect multiple war mechs. I mean, if we don't see at least two, I'd be disappointed. Question in chat, is it a potentially floaterless seed? No. The scenario was there early game, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, it could still be there.
No, because we need two of the items.
It's the crown and...
See, the floater can't be one of the two that's blocked. So floater, ruby,
Right.
and opal is three items, and floater can't be one of them. So there's no scenario where it can be floater, where the floater can be up front and not be required.
Right.
I didn't say that very well.
Alright, CC's giving us our first look at the Mirage Tower. Mirage 1 has not much. Let's check out the greater than, less than. Or the less than greater room if you want to be mathematically correct.
It's a word jumble, but basically there's not enough incentive items for there to be two not required behind the floater. That sounds better. I'll go with that. We're still looking for one loose item. It is most likely the floater or progress to the floater like the crown.
Tyerenex is going to get his ribbon from Matoya. All that hard work for a little piece of...
You know, it's not great because you'd love to be in go mode, but it's an hour and 16 minutes in, and that's your first ribbon. That's going to feel it. Tyerenex, I think you're going to have regrets watching this VOD back when you see what you did with your equipment. Put the opal... Oh, he didn't class change yet. I'm sorry. My apologies. Because he's got to go back to the elf castle. But that opal armor is what I was thinking. It's like, why do you still have flame armor on? You got to put the opal armor on. He has to actually class change first. It is cube required.
With all that money in that room, yep, absolutely. We're gonna need that cube to go upstairs and dig out all those chests in the Sky Palace.
Yeah, and it's just where it worked out very unfortunately for Tyerenex. If Crab Cakes had come here without the cube, that would have been a completely different scenario, but finding it just paid off big for CC, who really should be able to progress faster now than Tyerenex. Question in chat, have the black belts been napping for the whole game? Pretty much.
Yep, they were alive in the Marsh cave as extra run choices, but after that they have been basically just laying on their backs or their faces, depending on which sprites you're using.
Well, chat has said in before the third loose is in the Earth Cave. There is actually still a scenario where that is possible, because it could be on the first couple floors and not behind the rod lock.
Yep, we could have the rod right there on the top of Earth Cave and the old men in Crescent Lake holding onto the floater.
Into the sky floor. The thing about having to explore the sky floor, there's a lot of good experience available here. Taryn in chat calling for a vanilla ruby that leads to the floater. So a ruby behind the vampire, and then you have to walk all the way to Sarda.
Or even worse, ruby behind the vampire. Sarda has the rod, and keeping with the vanilla tradition, and then the Crescent have the floater.
That would be ugly.
Force double dip of Earth.
We had that the other day between these two runners, so that was an Earth Cave for the ages.
We did see the runners. Question in chat from Thunder. Did either runner check the key lock Northwest Castle? Yes, both runners checked it. I don't think there was anything of note there.
They were checked very early on.
Yeah.
Alright, Tyerenex is now at Sky Castle. And there's just not really a good scenario for Tyerenex at this point in terms of progress items. Because CC's going to do anything Tyerenex is sooner. Yeah, unless Tyerenex had made the incredibly bold gamble to go early Earth Cave, and that paid off. What Tyerenex really needs is levels. He needs to get levels here and have those levels pay off in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So far, Tyerenex is having a lot of trouble in this Mirage. And we've still not seen a loose item. Yo, there's really a lot we haven't seen for as much as we've checked.
Yeah, we're still missing 2 ribbons, the Masa, the Vorpal, the other katana. We found the defense sword. We're missing the power bonk. We're missing dragon armor. Missing a bunch of pro rings.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you'd be thinking of all of the good items. I will probably find about half of them with as much as we've checked, but I'd say we're under that, really. Like, on average, I'd expect to have 2 ribbons by now.
Yeah, especially with all these chests that we've checked.
To answer chat, yes, CC did get the cube, made that play before coming north to Mirage. Tyerenex about to find not too much in this room. It's going to be on a very different encounter cycle when coming up here than what Crab Cakes is. And I'd be curious to see if there's any noticeable difference. Tyerenex is going to be much earlier in the encounter table on these sky floors than Crab Cakes was.
And those chimeras have a lot of health, anywhere from 600 to 700 HP, and that's going to be pretty bad for Temple Fiends Revisited when you run into a pack of 4 of those.
They are that one enemy for me that just always feels like a jerk. Just always, whatever happens in whatever scene, they just always seem to be that really annoying enemy. I actually would have really liked to see Tyerenex swing the Excalibur there, find out how soft the blue dragons are. Yes, you have your levels and you really don't need to stop and do a level grind. But if you run into that atrociously bad Temple of Fiends Revisited, I want to know how easy that blue dragon is to kill.
Alright, CC's checking this last chest, and it's a buttload of money, but no loose yet.
Got to go to the last floor of Sky, and, well, by the way, still no guarantee that that actually is where the item is. Because it could still be early Earth Cave. And then how bad are our runners feeling that they didn't make that gamble?
Yeah. And it looks like one of the Chimera packs is unrunnable, too.
Yeah, we still have a lot of treasures on this floor, though. Make no mistake about that.
Well, 10 chests left.
Still might actually be more than what's in the first couple floors of Earth Cave.
Wow.
6 left. The countdown's on here. The progress here at Sky Castle. Is it in the Earth Cave?
Earth Cave is proving to be loaded at this point with all the high level gear that we've talked about that we haven't found, and there's only 4 chests remaining here in the Sky Palace. An early Earth dive would have been huge for either of these runners.
Well, you still have the chance for a very loaded Sea Shrine as well. It's just
True.
in terms of progress items, we know that there's only these spots left. There's 4 left that CC has to get to. If it's not here.
We also could see huge item density in the Cardia Islands, too, if our runners choose to check those once they get airborne. But at an hour 25 and only having 1 orb lit, I would imagine both runners are going to feel a little...
There it is. It's the floater.
Well,
So much for that. Loose in Sky.
So much for that monster nightmare scenario of the vanilla ruby, vanilla rock. I would imagine CC's just going to turn on the afterburners and not look back here.
Although Cece is struggling for a weapon, let's not forget. Well, it has the Excal. You're going to go with the Excal, actually. I was just thinking Cece hadn't found the defense sword because that was in Marsh, so Tyerenex got that little advantage. But the Excal you're going to be okay with in the end game.
And here she is on the Bridge of Destiny. We got those Bless RNGs already happening in chat.
I mean, I said earlier, this just feels like a seed that Warbeck needs to show up. This would be a very incomplete story if we don't get it. Also, CC's up to level 20, which is very strong levels for still having one of the late game dungeons to go. There it is!
Oh, and she chooses to run.
A little surprised with that because at level 20, you should certainly be able to kill Warmech. But I think CC is just worried about gassing it, not worried about levels.
Yeah, it looks like the crowd's turning against her for running away from Warmech. There's boos in the crowd from Will Cleosis. And Shadow Walker.
Of course, Shadow Walker is sitting on the sidelines waiting to find out which of these two runners he will go against in the finals for this tournament.
And Tiamat 2 is not proven to be too difficult yet.
This is Tia 1, so not usually that bad.
Math is hard, man. Thank you.
The Bane strats come out and they do their job against Tiamat. That's exactly what Bane strats are for.
All right, 87 minutes in. Cece has lit her second orb and she's walking back to her boat.
I didn't think about this, but Tyerenex was able to get warp there, and at the higher levels has casts of it, so was able to do about half the walking on this floor that Crabcakes does. That's made up a little bit of time. Obviously, it's not significant enough to be right on Crabcake's heels, but it definitely has made the extra routing not cost Tyerenex as much as it could have. Also, the extra work that Tyerenex did has paid off with the defense sword, and Crabcakes is never going to see that. It is loose in the Marsh Cave. I would figure from here you're zipping straight over to Sarda and finding out if he's got the rod. That is what Crabcakes is going to do, is Tyerenex finds the floater and checks... I won't say his last treasure chest, because I still think he'll check 5 more in Sea Shrine. It's the opal bracelet from Sarda, because why wouldn't it be?
Womp womp.
That leaves Lefane as our most likely candidate for progress. But that's one that had to sting. It's like you waited all this time, and then that's what it gives you. 4 red Hydras. Tyerenex is on a different encounter cycle here than Crabcakes was. That's noteworthy, so there's no guarantee of Warmech. But also, Crabcakes did see Warmech after 4 red Hydras, so
yeah,
I'm saying there's a chance.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it, and I'm hoping Tyerenex fights it. I want to see that robot friend get his hugs and go to sleep. I think this is the cycle. This looks very familiar.
Gets the hero run instead because of being on the different encounter cycle, so will be no Warmechs for Tyerenex. And I said I was going to be disappointed if we didn't see 2 Warmechs. I am officially disappointed.
Me too, man. Crabcakes shoves that dragon out of the way and digs out nothing. Light axe, meh.
I'm a little surprised CC is doing these checks. I think the reason is looking for ribbon number 2. course, you'd love a Power Gauntlet or Moss Immune, but I really think the priority here is ribbon number 2. And there it is. I don't know if Tyerenex is going to get that, or if Tyerenex is just going to try and step on the gas. Oh, ribbon number 3 is there!
Well, we knew that it had to happen. That there was a lot of late game items still loose in the world, and there are a few chest locations, the Cardi Isles being one of them. They were bound to show up eventually.
That is going to be a very welcome sight for CC, who I really got to imagine just isn't going to check. Might not even check the 5 that are right on the way in Sea Shrine at this point. Although I think with no Moss and no Vorpal, you probably still... I think you still do check those 5. Because no Moss and no Vorpal, no Power Gauntlet.
Yeah, 'cause the bottle here should turn into the crown, I believe, if my headcanon is correct.
Well, we've not seen the actual Lefane item yet, right?
Right. Yeah,
so that's the possible place for the crown, but it's 50-50. And Tyerenex is airborne.
Question in chat from Wilcliosis. We don't have the Oxyale, but we also don't have the Rod either. So I'm imagining Oxyale is going to be with the old men.
There is the crown. This has been a seed. This has been the seed that could even slow CC down. The trouble is, then you have to play it too.
Right. This would probably be a 2.5 hour seed for me. Not
early game. We had to go to key-locked Marsh to be able to find the ship for our early progress. We had Mux with Fire 2, sub-level 10. That's no picnic. We had Gargoyles firing off Trance and Status Poison, turning our party members to stone. We had Stone Touch Undead with Squint Crawls. We had all sorts of unpleasantness, both runners with several wipes in that Marsh cave. And there's the ruby. The slab wasn't even required at all.
wow. What can you say? But wow.
This is the seed for that. That's what I can say.
So
the seed for that.
The crown will turn into the Rod, will turn into the Oxyale. So we know we can go mode Earth and Sea. So that's a decent...
Interesting question in chat. No reset from CC. Either CC didn't think about it or really wants the heal 3. It's possible you want the heal 3 to compensate for the armor, but you've got the ribbons though. It also may have been a case where CC was saving on the way down because I wasn't paying attention to that. And if you did, then the reset wouldn't be worth enough. You'd be better off. So here we go with the crown check. And that's going to turn out to be the Rod. X-Scal, I don't think Astos has much of a chance here.
No.
Well, he'll survive a round.
That's surprising at this late in the game.
Yeah, you're in the 20s. You don't expect Astos to live past a round. Chat saying Astos isn't weak to X-Scal. You know what he's weak to? A level 20 fighter with a sword.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's weak to. Tyerenex is back into Melmond, picking up some spells. Oh, hey, did we mention that gargoyles have trance and stone poison?
She just ran away from the stone touch wolves too.
Alright, does Tyerenex get this done any faster? They're really not that far apart right now. CC is just so good that it's hard not to imagine that CC gets in to Temple of Fiends first. Tyerenex has a couple more levels. Not really what you want to see out of the two-man strats. Because the whole point is to get to a higher level. I am really surprised CC is going after this chest. This tells me CC is really worried about the weapons, because there's nothing else. There's just nothing else to search for to even take the extra steps for this chest.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Like, at this point, Excal, is enough to do it. And, yeah, you gotta go. But who am I to criticize CC's play? She was undefeated. Same with Tyerenex. These runners are both outstanding. They've done really well, obviously, in the tournament. And it's just really great to be here.
Pretty opposite paths to get to this moment in that CC went undefeated through the Swiss, got the bye in the first round. Tyerenex had to get here via the play-in race. So a play-in race just to get into the brackets. And then your reward for that is you get CC. Does Tyerenex go for these? He is. So must also be thinking, well, he's thinking about ribbons. I think Tyerenex is considering the ribbons more than weapon, if I had to guess. Chad asking if Tyerenex hit up Cardia. I don't think he did. I think he went just for the slab. Or did he even do that yet, actually?
He translated the slab.
Yeah. Gets past the vampire. These two are not far apart in this earth cave. Tyerenex getting a good run. Crab Cave getting a good run on that floor, making a lot of ground.
Yep, we got a foot race to Lich.
So one of the things we've kind of danced around but not outright said is Excalibur actually gets a bonus against anything that has an elemental weakness. As far as what we're going to fight ahead, that means you're in good shape till Chaos. It will actually get that bonus against Kraken 2 and Tiamat 2, but the crit rate of Vorpal is generally considered more valuable than a little bit of bonus damage on the Excalibur.
Yeah, we haven't seen Vorpal, Masa, Powerbonk, and I don't think we will either, as one nuke and Lich 1 goes down.
I'll clarify, because Tarnan did make this point in chat, that it's an elemental weakness or a type. So Tiamat is classified in the game as a dragon type, and that's what the Excalibur produces a bonus based on. Interesting move. Crabcakes is going for the ruby check. I don't know if this was just to line up the items and hey, there's 4 chests here as well, or if this is really this much concern about a weapon, and it's clearly about the weapon because Crabcakes just reset out of the Aegis shield. That's a bold reset, actually. It's equal in the defense to the Opal shield, and if CC did not have the ribbon, it would be superior in resistances. I think what happens there is CC says, well, I've already got the ribbon, so I don't need the Opal shield.
Yeah.
Sure, don't need the Aegis Shield. I'll be okay.
But she's going to pick up her level 6 magic that Tyerenex has been running around most of the game. Exit and Warp has definitely helped Tyerenex out a lot through these dungeons.
Well, the confused old men, they walk around like any other NPC. First, our devs made walking NPCs stand still to be nice, and they did that.
So we've seen Temper. I think Temper was level 1.
Level
But
5.
level 5, okay.
Or, I'm sorry, Fast was at level 5, so we should be sufficient for Temple of Fiends with Fast. And I consider Fast the more important one generally, because you're doubling your hits. Life and Life 2 at level 7.
Yeah, Temper was level 1. I went back and checked my notes, so...
So we should be in pretty good shape there. With how much CC has done, I'm pretty certain CC will check the 5 I've been referencing. Just don't know if you'll go out of your way for anything else. I don't think you can really afford to. And wow, those Nagas are really low HP. You know, this is a good point that both runners are probably feeling the pressure a bit right now. You're here at the hour 40-minute mark. You know, without question, your opponent is capable of finishing seeds by this point. But what you also know is this has been a really trolly path, so you're kind of at a point where you just got to put your head down, play your game, and hope it works out somehow. But it might also make you think, just how bad is this Temple of Fiends Revisited? We know neither player is there, but you gotta be thinking at some point. Either one of these could be right there in Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Absolutely, especially given the location of the loose cube. You have to think that that had some impact on the either runner's routing. We know that it hasn't, but that placement doesn't feel good when you find it.
Tyerenex again burning off an encounter on the overworld to get a little bit better pattern through the dungeon. For CC, the hunt for this Fiend of Water is on. A rendezvous with Kraken is ahead. Restore that orb. You have access to Temple of Fiends Revisited.
And I wonder if the 2-man grind is going to work against Tyerenex now that we found Life and Life 2 at level 7. Crabcake's White Wizard is going to have access to those well before Tyerenex does. And if Temple of Fiends Revisited proves to be brutal, not having access to life magic could make that a very slippery slope.
I would actually put the 2-man versus 3-man kind of at third importance right now, or the White Mage level is at third importance right now. One, this is where you really make the 2-man pay off, is when you get above 24. You're trying to get that fighter to a much higher level, and you're trying to get that Black Mage a lot more durable for Temple of Fiends Revisited. By having the 3rd man up, you're actually taking away that advantage that it can give you. Although I don't think the White Mage would have added a ton through the rest of the seed to speed anything up, but could have used the black shirt along the way. Actually, CC did not check anything in the Sharknado room. That surprises me for
She
having
did.
done the roof check.
She checked it.
wait.
She checked it and warped out of the trap tile, so she didn't have to hit it twice.
Ah, okay.
It was gold, I think a soft potion, and a copper bracelet, I believe.
Well, good call, and absolutely a veteran move by CC to minimize the impact of checking that extra one.
All right. Do you want to try to figure out what's going to be in those validation chests if our runners even check them? Because it could be Masa Power Bonk hiding out in Temple Fiends Revisited.
That's a troll location for it to be in.
I've heard the stories of finding such items in those validation chests. The best thing I've ever found there was like a ribbon.
Ribbon's pretty good to find there. But yeah, there's been Masas, there's Power Gauntlet, there's all kinds of good stuff can happen there. Tyerenex is now in Sharknado. Skips the draft on that one, so that's going to be a little bit of time save.
Kraken one takes a nuke. Good amount of absorb there.
Again, you're talking up to 220% boss stats. That can scale up pretty high.
Good amount of magic defense too, it looks like. Not a lot of life though.
HP, though. Crabcakes has restored the water orb. And now, little prep work on to Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yep, she's going to do a little bit of her administrative work.
I think this is a spell or pro rings. Picked up Invis. I'm a little surprised to see that for Invis. I could understand it for Wall.
Well, she has 3 ribbons, so Wall isn't really necessary.
With no defense sword, though, it is kind of a watered down defense sword. It's half strength, but if you throw Invis on top of Invis 2, you're that much faster to getting your evade up.
And at the hour 48, CC enters the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Question in chat from Maverick and Nissa. There was an ice check. It was the slab. There was actually a full ice clear from both runners.
Which turned out to not be required, right? That was the opal bracelet?
Correct. Or no, that was I thought.
Well, let's check what our fine tracker Wote has given us in notes. It was the ruby, so yes, it was not required. It was even less required than the opal bracelet.
Yeah, our old man Sarda had the opal Cheerio, as the Hanger Canuck calls it.
If I have to call it anything, I'm more partial to hula hoop.
I can dig it. And about 100 seconds later, Tyerenex comes into the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Tyerenex went with 2-man strats most of the game. He's got just a couple extra levels. Not a lot, but a little bit more.
CC validates her run for 10,000 gold and an iron stick. Man.
I checked these 2 chests and all I got was this lousy iron stick. Well, it's another chance for a potential time save for Tyerenex if he skips those. It's just walking, you won't get an encounter, but...
Yeah, this is a very, very close race right now. I think we have a lot of potential here where this could be somebody just menuing and pulls ahead.
I think they're also on a little bit different encounter table.
Yeah, Tyerenex did the power reset outside and burned off an encounter before coming in. I don't think CC did that.
Let's see, on that floor we've got the 3 zombie dragons. I wasn't paying attention to CC's routing before, so I will see from there if they're on the same line. No, CC didn't get that one. They're definitely on different. It's one of those things you don't always think to watch for it, but it can make a difference.
Yep, and Chad is wondering if folks are going to check the carry 2 chests, and I don't think either runner will check those chests.
No, I think you're pretty committed to the equipment you have now. CC really wanted that extra weapon.
Yeah, Excal will do for sure. With temper and fast, it's any weapon will really do. It's just a matter of how many rounds you got to sink into buffing it up.
Earths are unrunnable, so this is going to take some time for CC.
Yeah, this could be one of those things where the power reset actually helps Tyerenex if those aren't on this part of the encounter table for him.
Tyerenex definitely got more encounters on this floor, which bodes well for the later floors.
And luckily, the Chimera pack here is different than the Chimera pack in Sky, as the Sky Chimeras were unrunnable while these are runnable.
Did some damage to CC's Knight there. Tyerenex does get the unrunnable Earths, so it looks like they're pretty common on this floor. And then a hero run, but more unrunnable Earths for CC.
In the words of Will Smith, welcome to Earth.
Third floor from the Chaos.
Yeah, we got a foot race here to Lich once again.
This is... It's CC's to lose, but there's still plenty that can happen. To level 25 now. We're used to level 24 being a benchmark because of the Masamune, but it takes a higher level for Excalibur to get that extra swing. We're going to have a runner high five here on the speed bump, Lich 2.
Yep, I think they were about 5-10 seconds apart there on that Lich 2 pole.
So far, it looks like the little bit of encounter work that Tyerenex did paid off. He's through Lich first. That's also a little bit more levels, so just a little bit extra damage from the sword. Now, what do we see from encounters when we get to the seafloor is going to be big, because Tyerenex got a monster run through the fire floor. Looks like these Grey Worms have a pretty high ambush rate, so not an unrunnable slow you down, but sitting through that extra turn slow you down.
And Tyerenex is on carry 2, throwing out the white shirt, fighting, and more white shirts. And
another Grey Worm encounter. And another runner high five on carry. So this is just such an interesting dynamic.
Carry is radioactive. Nuclear comes out and burns down Lamp. Down goes Tyerenex's white.
It's not great because you wanted to sacrifice that white mage at Kraken instead, but you've got the defense sword. Crabcakes actually gets to the water floor first. Very different setups here in that Crabcakes has the ribbons, is in better shape for magic damage. Tyerenex with the defense sword is in better shape for the physical damage.
And there's Cece's big run. So she gets the Seafood Party pack closer to the Kraken 2 tile while Tyerenex is dealing with it before going into the big dark room.
This is unrunnable, but a very nice chunk of experience for an unrunnable encounter. It's a good example of why it's nice to have something like Thor's Hammer that can just do AoE damage on a fighter, so that you're not targeting the one that happens to die.
Yeah, feels bad. But we're through, and CC is gonna respect Kraken 2 per usual, and Tyerenex is still taking encounters. Okay. And you run.
You can't run from this one. So at one point, it looked like that encounter cycle might work out better for Tyerenex. Now it's starting to look like it's worked out better for CC, but we still have another floor to get through. See, snakes seem to have pretty good magic defense. They've been resistant to nukes.
And Kraken 2 decides to even the odds and punches CC's white mage right in the face and drops her in one round. And then throws out the nuke. CC's gonna man mode this if she gets past. Ooh.
Okay. This is interesting. This is perhaps the Kraken that Tyerenex needs, but is it the Kraken that Tyerenex is ready for? The nuke is gonna be rough, period. But, oh, did not heal. I don't like that part. Needs just basically not a max roll nuke to happen.
And nuke was his second spell, so needs to take him down pretty quick.
Got the fast off. Good move. Well, never mind. It's not going to matter now. But Tyerenex with that defense is in much better position to man mode.
And with the miss menu shows off the X-Cal. As long as he gets Kraken down before that next spell comes out.
Bane comes out. You don't want to see that. You want Kraken off the spell list. As long as Kraken is punching, it's 3 and 256. He'd have to crit to hit you.
And just high absorb for Kraken 2. And no crits coming from
spells.
his
That's bad news.
There's the crit with the X-Cal, 279 damage. There's a big good damage, 150.
Got around to lit 2.
So there's two lit. Okay.
No, that's got to be the one. That's too many spells. Next one's got to be nuke. He'd be really hard pressed to survive it too. Got to get a crit here. Got it!
Wow.
67 damage was enough. Tyerenex got through. There's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. All right, full on man mode. Let's see what Tyerenex's fighter knight can do.
There was no doubt. Nuke was the next spell. Kraken had to do a physical, and then Tyerenex had to land a hit that was enough. Now, that's not necessarily the last we're seeing of Nuke, because there's 3 of them in the pool. We've also seen 1 out of 4 nuclears, so there's a chance of those.
And it looks like CC's taking a gas grind here on the 3rd floor. Temple of Fiends are visited.
That could be an effort just to get the HP high enough for surviving Nuke. A low absorb Tiamat, it looks like. Tyerenex has been able to do steady damage here. Tia staying away from the spell list. Also good news. But you want to see this end soon, and there it does. That's the power of the defense sword. If you've got it, you're gonna make the play and take a chance.
Alright, at the 2-hour mark, Tyerenex enters the floor of chaos.
Got the Bane sword checking the equipment. Good move. Make sure you've got everything where you want it. I would have actually liked the defense in the first spot, but I would have done that a long time ago personally. You only need it 3 times. Okay, maxed absorb now. Or evade. 4 hits for 100 damage. The evade's not too bad. The nuke comes out. The absorb is high. Chaos critted. Go to Bane strats right now. This is a Bane strats scenario.
Chaos tried main strats.
Chaos tried, but Chaos is going to roll around a nuke before long, and you're just not going to crit for enough damage to get past Cure 4. You're not surviving nuke, you're not surviving Cure 4. This is a Bane Strat scenario.
Oof.
So I think what Tyerenex was going for there was the RNG loop, and hoping with the max evade you could get Chaos into an RNG loop attacking against your max evade, and then eventually the chip damage just wearing out Chaos. But that was a spell-happy Chaos, which was the worst case scenario when he's got Nuke and Cure 4. Now, here's the interesting part of this equation. That information has to tell Tyerenex you want a higher level. Does Tyerenex do a small to medium level grind based on that? Because really, you know you need the mages alive is what it comes down to, because you got to get the tempers off.
Tyerenex is leaving.
He never checked the blue dragon. He could get back to the eye really quickly.
Is he gonna...
That's just level 7 spells aren't not going to get him. Your white mage isn't going to survive a nuke to cast a life 2 is the problem.
Yeah, Tyerenex looks a little rattled here. Just reset out of all that he just did.
I just don't think the white mage does enough for you, but where's Tyerenex going to go?
It
The
looks
only
like...
two things I'd like is if you were exploring for treasure, looking for Vorpal to deal with chaos, or Masamune possibly. Either that or go for levels. I'm just not sure what else you're going to find.
And it looks like CC's on her dive back into the... Nope, she's still grinding. Never mind.
CC did not even get the knowledge of how bad that chaos was. But you know it's an early nuke from Kraken, and that's something you gotta respect.
And a decent amount of HP and absorb on Kraken as well.
These gas dragons are a very rewarding encounter. I like to call them the encounter that broke the experience scale. If you look to an older version of the randomizer, you'd see that basically with any experience boost, it would overflow the maximum you could get per battle. So you would get this weird gibberish for the experience line. So the dev's reaction to that was scale down the amount of experience you need per level. And that way it doesn't overflow the experience anymore. But for gas dragons with any experience bonus, it was pretty easy for that to happen. CC's up to level 28 now. If that's not good enough, it sure's got to be close.
And Tyerenex bought some spells, and that's the adjustment that he makes to go back into Temple of Fiends here. I hope that... oh, he's going to grind. Okay.
Has to after seeing that chaos. I don't know about having the black belt alive for it. But what you really need is your mages to be somewhere like 320 to 340 HP, because you're going to have Lit 2 come out first and then the nuke. You want to be above 300 HP for the nuke and take your chances. Well, taking your chances is not what you want, but it's kind of what you have to do. If you get the black belt to 16, he could chip in something. Not a lot, but something. 21, he'd be respectable. And the black belt does get a lot of HP, but I'm surprised that Tyerenex had the black belt alive.
And CC hits 29 and exits out. I believe that's the extra swing for the X cap.
It would be a very reasonable target. Plus, now you're thinking I'm going to be 31, 32, probably getting back to Kraken. And that's a significant difference.
And it looks like here she goes, as she's running from encounters now.
Yeah, this is absolutely the dive. And so it turns out to be perhaps a bit of an advantage to Crab Cakes to have died first, because you had that information about how nasty Kraken 2 was, and CC immediately made the adjustment to level up and was able to have something like a 5-minute advantage on starting the level up process to Tyerenex.
Yeah, she unwittingly, and preparing for Kraken 2, prepared for chaos.
Well, you certainly know if you're in better shape for one, you're better off for the other. But it's pretty much all you can do. You're either going to level up or you're going to go get a resource that you don't have. Tyerenex is up to 26 on his night. Now, he didn't have as far to go for levels as Crab Cakes did. And he's leaving again. This is probably to bring the black belt back up. Or not. What do I know?
With him putting the Black Wizard up front, I have a feeling he's going to try to get down to a 2-man grind with the White Mage to get that White Wizard some levels.
Yeah, that's got to be trying to get Life 2 charges. And a really powerful Knight.
So CC is through Lich 2 and on her way to carry 2.
Now, we have seen plenty of seeds in this tournament be an hour 30 or less. We've seen it happen left and right. We know these runners are capable of doing it. Here we are 2 hours and 10 minutes in, and they're not even back to Kraken 2 yet. This has been a seed.
Yeah, when the seed is forcing runners of this caliber over 2 hours, and it's it's a challenging seed for sure. This is what you want to see in the championship, the round of 4.
You know this. At the end of this one, you lose on a seed like this, you just tip your hat to the winner. They earned every bit of it, whoever it is, however they got there. You know they earned it. If Tyerenex had been able to pull off the Bane strats against Chaos, CC, you just say, GG. I did all I could. And that's true of both of these runners. If Tyerenex loses here, he's just going to say, well, I did everything I had. It just wasn't there today.
And CC got through carry 2 without seeing the nuclear, so that's huge on saving healing resources and time between these fights.
I'm going to attempt to answer a question in chat, though I didn't understand it exactly. This is the exact same flag set that these runners played with earlier this week when all 3 items were loose in Earth Cave. The only thing that's different is the second forced party member, which ended up being Black Belt today. That was based on the seed. How far does Tyerenex take this? And does that chaos prove hard enough to make it worthwhile? Crab Cakes is going to be above level 30 for sure by the time she gets back to chaos. Tyerenex continues to level here as CC has an appointment with this Kraken who stopped her once before. First spell was Lit 2, second spell is Nuke. CC show a little more respect and move the knight this time. Does. But interesting that CC moved the white shirt as well. Not as many of those available.
The black belt does his job and gets that white shirt use off. Gets the Invis 2 up.
Fighter attacks before the fast gets there, unfortunately. 3 Invis 2s is a lot of evade. And a really big roll from that Nuke. Took out the Black Mage. Oh! That's reset worthy for Crab Cakes, honestly. I don't like man moding with the white shirt. Almost gone after that crit. This is a Kraken. Surviving Lit 2 would have been difficult after that. Okay, you got through, but no defense sword. You're going to have to move the white shirt and try and man mode it, taking twice as many turns for evasion. That's going to feel really rough.
And she doesn't know what chaos has either.
It's kind of a good news, bad news thing. One, you might get the information, and if it's an easy chaos, you're able to get through. But also, CC didn't move the white shirt. That's a problem here. I really don't like not having the white shirt available for the evasion. Obviously, you didn't need it for this Tiamat, but you gotta have it there for chaos. Stun comes out. Crab Cakes is locked in there. Another big hit from Tiamat. Another one. Crab Cakes resets.
Yeah, that was a stun touch on Tia 2. Yikes.
And the only thing you could do about that would have been evade, which is the one thing that Crab Cakes didn't have. Tyerenex is done with the grind. He's at a low... Actually, I think that's the same level as Crab Cakes, just with only the 2 party members instead of 3. Wow.
So he got the White Wizard at 21. So that's at least a 1 level 7 slot. But that's... that in order to use it, the White Wizard's going to have to survive Kraken 2. Which it feels iffy.
Crab Cakes another reset after the Phantom one-shot the White Mage. This defense sword, it gave Tyerenex a chance once. Can it do it again? I have never seen Crab Cakes have to take this many dives into Temple of Fiends Revisited. Question chat, where was the defense? It was loose in Marsh Cave. There's no way CC is going to get it. It'd be easy to go back and get it, but you've got too many locations with all of Sea Shrine, all of Marsh, and all of Earth Cave. You're not going to go looking for anything.
Yeah, if she knew where it was, she'd probably go back and get it, but no. All right, here we go. Cece's back in the past, and diving back down through the Temple of Fiends Revisited as Tyerenex is on the fan. Question in chat: what time did these two runners enter Topher? I believe that was about 20 minutes ago. They entered Topher.
They entered sub 2 hours.
Right, I think it was right around 157.
I think CC got even there early for that, but
yeah, I know that they entered it within like 2 minutes of each other. I know that's for sure.
So far, Tyerenex is the only one of the runners to see Chaos. We know Chaos has Nuke. We know Kraken has Nuke. We also know Chaos has Cure 4. So you really need the temper charges to get the damage up.
Which is just one more person you need to have survive to the end.
Yeah, you really need to survive 2 nukes. Now, the good news is it's from different encounters. But you've got to dodge that bullet twice.
Both runners do have the Bane Sword, so there's always that in our runner's back pocket.
Another good point in chat. Tyerenex only has the 1 ribbon to survive the insta-death stuff. The good news for him, though, is the magic defense is going to be up. So you're not going to see a high success rate out of Bane, for example. But it won't be ribbon defense.
And the White Wizard does have access to Wall as well.
Crabcake's about to get back to Carry 2. Carry 2 has Nuclear. It's not as deadly as Nuke is, but you're hoping for good rolls. Tyerenex is on to Lich's floor. So about 2/4 of difference between the runners right now.
CC on Carry 2 and through Carry 2.
FF1, we know drama.
Luckily, those Germaduces don't have anything too nasty.
Crabcake's about to go against this fiendish fiend of water, the most dapper of them all, and one who likes to fire off the nuke spell. There's enough HP for that white mage to survive a nuke. But you're also worried about how hard this Kraken can punch. Using the extra invis, that's a little unfortunate that even the Lit 2 was enough to kill that black belt. Kinda hoping not. Nuke comes right out the second turn. Black mage is gone. White mage is in bad shape.
Huge hit from the Excal, though. That 1 temper making a lot of difference here.
Going with the Cure 4. Bane was basically a free round. Kraken's still alive. But back at full HP for the white mage is pretty good shape. And Kraken 2 is terminated. Now there's a chance for Crabcakes. But I actually think, this is going to sound awful, save the life. Oh, I hope you have one more. If you only have one, save it until you get to the Chaos Floor, is what my thought process was. If you've got 2, you can afford it, but I wouldn't have used it that soon. How many more does Crabcakes have?
she should have a handful with her Black Wizard and White Wizard
more
being roughly the same level. Yeah, I would imagine she had about 4 charges left.
I really would have liked leaving the black belt down for this fight. That's personal preference, and have the life 2s to bring everybody back for chaos. Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't matter, actually.
We got confirmation that she has 2 life 2 charges on that White Wizard.
I had to think about that, but 2 means that if the White Mage died, you're in worse shape anyways, because you can't use them, so it's fine. CC knows what she's doing. Never to CC.
Yep, both these runners know what they're doing, as Tyerenex is on his way to carry 2, and Crabcakes is the first one to go to Chaos with a full party.
No, not if these worms can deny you. I was just waiting for Iron Gulls there. It's just, that's the only thing that's missing from this seed was Iron Gulls to pop up right there.
Fair.
Alright, so we know Chaos has Nuke, has Cure 4. You're gonna need the Tempers. So you're gonna need the Black Mage to survive. So again, the Invis does half of Ruse. And 3 casts of Ruse is enough to max your evade, so it's 6 of the Invises will get you to max evade.
Here comes Thunder. That's new.
No, Thunder did come out last time. It just came out after Nuke instead of before.
Gotcha.
He went to the ability list sooner this time. So CC still doesn't have that information, but was able to get a temper off.
8 hits, 100 damage. You're going to need a lot more tempers than that. Good
He'll recast. Nuke comes out. Mages are gone. You're in man mode now, but you can crit for the damage.
There it is. That's 1600 damage and undone by Cure 4. No.
That feels bad, but you know you can deal the damage. 500, that's a great hit. 700, that's 1200 total. 1700, this damage is adding up so quick, and that's enough. Crabcakes is finished. First place, 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 27 seconds. That is well-earned GG for Crabcakes. And the...
GG Crab.
You have earned it.
Official SRL time of 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 27 seconds.
The showdown awaits us. It'll be Shadow Walker against Crabcakes to determine it all for this spring tournament. This is a seed that no matter what, you had to earn it.
Yeah. Wow.
It is one that's going to leave just about anybody speechless and probably need a few moments to recover after that. Question, did the captain band get rolled for the finals yet? No. I expect that will happen tonight, but I'm not sure. Out comes Nuke. Can Tyerenex get through this with the White Mage? Not enough damage there.
Survives the Bane, got the Cure 4 queued up.
We even saw a Warmech, although we didn't get the Warmech fight. Get it clarified in chat that the roles for Captain Band will be after we finish our broadcast here. Chat saying, I don't think Tyerenex can be upset this seed was No, you're just going to respect anybody who got through this seed faster than you. It wasn't like you just picked wrong. It was that this seed was that bad. And Tyerenex was the first to get to Chaos. Moment here. Maybe just catching his breath. He hasn't left the race.
He might be taking a quick bathroom break.
That's possible. Yeah, we knew it wasn't frozen. That's his game audio. So there was no doubt about that. I think he just needed like a stretch or something. And when you know the race isn't on the line. Is he going to be able to get through this Kraken? If Nuke rolls around, his HP on that White Mage is too low. But he's through. 60 damage and 90 damage to kill that Kraken. Let's just point that out here. First time he killed that Chaos on a 62 damage hit. That one was a 90 damage hit. So this was a seed. Again, just to kind of set the flavor of this, we had a taste of what this was going to be when the Gargoyles had Trance and Stone Poison. Then we followed that up with the Cube being loose in Temple of Fiends. Tyerenex gambled and found that early. Unfortunately, was not able to make it pay off. CC was able to get there and find that cube before Tyerenex was getting into Mirage.
And
2 hours. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, CC's joining us in chat, and it looks like she has questions for whoever rolled this.
I have no idea who that is. Who that was. That is Krem. Krem did it. I'll just be over here hiding under a bunker for no related reason whatsoever.
The kind of seed you want to see in a championship game. This is the semi-final championship or quarterfinals. I don't really know how those words work, but this is an important race. And you don't want to see it be a Jets. So I like this kind of seed at this level of play. This is what we want to see our runners with the skill levels that they possess be challenged. And I think this has been a great seed for that.
Tyerenex through the fight, on to Chaos. Giving us an explanation about Warmech, CC had gained 8 levels through Sky at that point and wasn't willing to risk them against Warmech. Here we go. Tyerenex versus Chaos, round 2. Tyerenex has seen the nuke, has seen the Thunder, has seen the Cure 4. We've seen that it doesn't take a lot of tempers to get through this.
And with that defense sword, he's going to get to that evasion cap basically right now.
Again, 3 uses of the defense sword, you're going to be at max evade. You stack 2 invises and 2 defenses, you're at max evade. Which means Chaos has to crit to be able to hit you. Gets the wall up. Is out of a lot of healing resources. Tornado comes out. Really put a hurt on that fighter. No ribbon on the fighter. He didn't move the ribbon. It's not elemental, but wow, that was a rough tornado. And there's Nuke. And that is all. Tyerenex has withdrawn. You can't blame him after that one. That was a chaos. That was at the Temple of Fiends. We all know can happen. We don't always see it, but we always know it's possible. That, I think, was the first time we saw Tornado, which is the non-elemental. So, I'm not sure if Tyerenex is going to join us here. He might be ready to walk away from the computer for a bit, but again, to set up what's ahead, it will be Shadow Walker against Crab Cakes. That's forthcoming in the next week. It'll be a best of 3 finals. Stay tuned. If you're not in the Discord, there'll be links popping up in the chat. Also go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com for more on that. Tyerenex, whatever you want to say, go for it.
It was fun. Whatever. GG Crab Cakes. That was a crazy. That seed was not for the faint of heart. So, I had fun. Semifinals is better than I thought I did, and see you next.
Well, you represented well for the play-in race. You were the last one who came in via the play-in race, standing in the tournament. So, well done on that front. You, by the way, also were the first one to get to Chaos.
Yeah, I don't know. Was there ever a mass immune found or any kind of crit?
No, you saw the same chests. Actually, you had defense and CC didn't. That was really the only difference. I take that back. The other difference is in the Cartier Islands was 2 ribbons.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I don't know that 2-man, if it worked out for me or not. I knew it was going to be a crazy seed because it was like Cube was in Temple of Fiends locked, and then the floater was Cube locked. So I kind of felt like I didn't really feel behind.
It was about a minute, less than 3 minutes for sure, for the 2 of you getting into Temple of Fiends. CC got in there just slightly faster, but then you swapped so many times with the encounter table differences.
Yeah. Yeah, it ended up not working out, the 2-man, because I couldn't get my Black Mage to Chaos, and if I would have got my Black Mage to Chaos, who knows what would have happened if I was paying more attention than my last fight. But, choosing not to level that White Mage till the end, I had no way to recover. And it's also kind of taking a chance that there's going to be decent, night learnable stuff. But, like almost a 700 HP night, and it still wasn't good enough, so.
Well, I guess at this point, just any final thoughts on the whole tournament experience?
Actually, now that I think about it, Spell Zap and I agreed to do a best of 1 third place match if we both lost, if there was any interest in that. We were going to do it like before they ran the finals. So if there's any interest in that, we'll do it, but we'll see how that goes. So,
well, I'm in.
It may not be the end.
I'm in. I'll do it. I think we can make that happen.
Sweet. So yeah, hopefully we can get everything scheduled before the finalists get their stuff scheduled, and we can figure out what the finals flags and stuff are. And me and Spell Zap can just do a one-off race for third. That sounds fun.
That's awesome.
All right, we'll look forward to that out of both of you. That's a real hype announcement you got here live on Speed Gaming. Thank you, Speed Gaming, for hosting us tonight. And thank you to each and every one of you who joined us. It was a great turnout to enjoy a great race. Hope everybody had as much fun as I did. Tyerenex, any final thoughts?
Nope. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you guys later.
GG Tyerenex.
Well, Caleb, after all that, what do you have to say?
The emotional exhaustion that I'm feeling is probably a fraction of what our runners are feeling. I think everybody probably just needs to take a breath and go unwind and check out what the captain and band are going to be for the finals. And I think this was a great way to end the round of 4. It's a great kind of way to end up leading into the finals here. We got Shadow Walker and Crab Cakes, 2 of the favorites to go all the way and meet in the finals. I'm excited to watch those races and see who comes out on top, man. This is going to be an exciting finale.
It has been an incredible experience to get to this point. These 2 runners gave us a fantastic showing tonight. This was not an easy seed. As they said, it was not one for the faint of heart, but they both did it. They got Crab Cakes got through. Tyerenex, if Crab Cakes hadn't already been done, Tyerenex would have found a way. He may have gotten more levels. He may have just tried for some different RNG, but he was very capable, and it took a lot to get to that point. So we thank you to each and every one of you who joined us this evening. Hope you had a great time. Again, thank you to Speed Gaming and each and every one of you who spent this part of your evening with us. Thank you, Wope, for the tracking, and hope you all have a great rest of the day.